Today I'd love to share with you an amazing story. My name is Christopher Kringle, and many years ago, maybe more than you can even count, I had the greatest adventure of my entire life. You see, it all happened many years after my wife and I had met. You see, my wife and I, we wanted a child, but sadly could not have children. Though we loved them very much, and this was a point of great sadness between us. You see, we had been married many years, but then later in our lives, we were finally blessed with a son. And he became a bright flame to burn away all that sadness. Once my son came along, I spent many hours building toys and gadgets that would bring smiles to his face. I wondered how I could bring even more joy. So I worked even more. I worked so much that eventually my entire shop was filled from top to bottom with knickknacks and toys. But as the years went by, he grew up and sadly moved away. He no longer needed the toys, but I found such joy in making them that I would continue to work in the shop. But without a child around, they filled the shelves and then nooks and the crannies in the closet, just gathering dust. One day, my wife suggested that we donate the toys to the orphans and the poor children down in the village. Give away the toys that remind me so much of my son? These were my boy's toys. But then I remembered the joy that lit up his face each time I gave him one of my new creations. And I realized that joy could be shared with every orphan. So it was on a cold, cloudy Christmas Eve that I loaded up the sleigh and I hooked up the reindeer. Oh yes, we had reindeer. You see, up in the mountains where we lived, there's lots of snow and lots of ice. And reindeer are way more sure-footed than horses. So, I headed into town for my very first toy delivery. And as I did, I found such joy building up in my heart as I would see the faces of each boy and girl as they got the gift, the toy, the gadget that I had made them. Their faces just lit up. And as I drove home, I pondered all the things that I had seen and received in my heart. So I decided that this would be an annual tradition. You see, each and every year, I would deliver toys to the boys and girls in the orphanage. One Christmas, as I was heading home from delivering my gifts, a brilliant light engulfed my sleigh, and a strange figure stood in front of me. It was a very old man with a long white beard and a deep, resonant voice. He told me that I had been chosen as a messenger to bring great joy to the earth. I had been chosen? Why me? What made me worthy of such a calling? I'm just a sad little man who wanted to honor my lost son, whom I missed so much. And as if he could hear my very thoughts, the man said with his booming voice, "It's that very love for your son and the generosity of your heart that makes you worthy, and why I've chosen you to be my ambassador." As he spoke, the air around us began to shimmer and glow with million brilliant colors. It was something that I had only seen once. And then it was from a far-off distance. It was the Aurora Borealis. And then I realized that we weren't looking at the Aurora Borealis, but standing inside of it. And then I realized we were floating high above the ground. And as I looked closer, I saw that the lights were made of millions of small winged creatures, all the colors of the rainbow. He told me that the creatures were fairies and that they were in charge to help me with my new endeavor, along with all the other fair folk, leprechauns and brownies and elves and pixies and more. As we floated high in the sky, the man pointed through the shimmering lights to a place far off in the distance, and we began to move closer to that distant land. And we found that we were slowly coming to ground. And as we settled back down to earth, he told me that one day this would be a place called the North Pole, and that it would be my new home. Well, he told me that the elves would be teams of assistants and that they would help me build not only toys for the local orphanage, but toys for children everywhere, boys and girls all over the world. He told me that the brownies would help me make a list. But I found that you gotta check that list twice, because those brownies can be quite mischievous. The gnomes would help by growing gardens that would supply all the candy for the holiday. Gnomes had candy gardens, and they would grow candy canes and candy corn and peppermint twists, and all your favorite candy would grow in the garden of the gnomes. But the very most important gift that I was given on that day was the gift of the glowing fairies. A representative of each one of the fairies came forth, and they brought an orb filled with the dust of their wings. The red fairies, the dust from the red fairies' wings gives my reindeer the ability to fly and to know every address of every boy and girl in the entire world. Then the pink fairies came, and the pink fairies gave us their dust. Their dust gives me and the missus the longevity of life that we need to fulfill this calling throughout all the ages. Then the yellow fairies give me the ability to move at blinding speeds. Not only that, but to shrink down to any size so that I can fit through any opening, no matter how small. But I tell you, my favorite is the chimney. Why, the purple fairies came, and the purple fairies gave me an armful with their dust. The purple fairy dust gives me the ability to speak any language and to know every custom in the world as long as I have their dust with me. The green fairies came and they gave me their dust, and I found that their dust gives me the ability to teleport the gifts into my bag, so that each and every house I'm at, I have the correct gift for the boys and girls that live in that house. Then the blue fairies came. The blue fairies, they gifted me with their dust, and it allows me to manipulate time. You see, I can take a year and shrink it down to a second. Or I can take a nanosecond and make it last an eternity. That's how I'm able to do everything that I do in just one night. With all these powers and gifts that I've been given, some rules and responsibilities were also imposed. You see, he told me that the gifts had to be given in secret from that point on, and that I would no longer give the gifts in remembrance of the joy that I saw on my son's face when he received a gift. But I was to do it in remembrance of 3 wise men that gave to the son for whom this holiday is named, and that it must be completed every year in celebration of the generosity of the God who showed the world how much he loved them when he sent his son to be the gift for the entire world. Well, I've experienced many adventures in my long life, and I have more stories to tell. But as you can imagine, this is my favorite, for it's how I, Kris Kringle, became the man you know as Santa Claus, or St. Nicholas, or Father Noel. Oh, there are many names that I've been given throughout the world. But this is my favorite story, for it is how the northern fair folk and I are able to accomplish the amazing things each year as I experience the joy on everyone's face as they open their gifts on Christmas Day.